whilst there are massive frustrations, I'm sure, for the family and those who loved Jay, I think there are some small crumbs of comfort that can be taken from the statement that the Guardia Civil gave to the Sun yesterday. In that statement, they said that there are other lines of inquiry that they are pursuing. Now, anybody who's followed this case as keenly as I have for the last few weeks will, of course, realise that there must be other threads to this investigation. So many names have been put forward, so many question marks over some of the characters involved in this baffling mystery. But the big frustration is we do not know what those lines of inquiry are that the Spanish police are following. And in that regard, I guess many of the frustrations are still there for the family. Even though this search has entered week 4, the theory that must be applied is to rule nothing out, nothing whatsoever, until you have fundamentally proven that that particular line of investigation is either not relevant or has been completely closed. Until that point, still consider all options. People who are still speculating, and some of these armchair detectives actually raise some questions that I think are quite valid, until all of these lines of inquiry have been completely explored, completely examined, and finally put to bed. They have to keep a very open mind. Undoubtedly, this Airbnb that Jay apparently spent some time at, and the people that rented that, and those same people that were possibly the last people to see Jay alive, should, of course, be completely bottomed out. That should have been a priority right from day one. I think the Spanish police made a grotesque error in allowing those people to leave the island of Tenerife as quickly as they did, and also to tell the media that those people were not relevant. I don't think the Spanish police had had enough time to thoroughly investigate that aspect of this case to actually prove that they were not relevant. I fear perhaps that it was very convenient for them to say that, and that perhaps that might be a decision they are now regretting. Quite simply, every line of investigation has to be explored to the nth degree until it is either ruled out or considered of something worthy of even more investigation. But the trouble here, and this happens in a considerable number of cases, is that sometimes people behave irrationally. They don't behave as perhaps viewers might do and I might do. People sometimes do odd things because that's just how they are. Of course, on other occasions, odd things happen because there is some criminality behind it. And that is what the Guardia Civil, the Spanish police, have got to try and establish. I've travelled to the costas in Spain a lot in recent years, doing various investigations, and it's an unsavoury fact of life that in certain parts of southern Spain and on some of the Spanish islands, there are very unpleasant people who are major players in global organised crime, from the Russian mafia to serious players from Britain, of course. Other countries, Scandinavian countries even, have got their criminal representatives down there up to no good. So when a young man disappears in circumstances like this, when one of the people we know was one of the last people to see him alive, has a considerable criminal background, that rings alarm bells, and all those threads of investigation should be properly explored.